So, we have a review today for a trilogy, let's just say, or a 3 volume manga series that has completely destroyed my heart, that has become one of my most. I'm not sure if likable is the word that I want to use for this one, but one that I thought was worth it. Full heads up, I'm not going to recommend this to everyone, but I am going to recommend it. So let's get into it. Hello, beautiful bookworms! My name is Katarina, and welcome to my channel. And today it's extremely cold. It's extremely dark outside, so I'm sorry for the lighting. And it's also very dark inside because we are going to be talking about a series that has destroyed my hope in humanity, in living, in everything, and then slowly but surely decided to rebuild it altogether. A series that I really enjoyed, or let's just say a trilogy of sorts that I really enjoyed and that I want to talk to you guys about today. And hopefully, I can make it reach more people that didn't know about it, and hopefully, it can become somewhat of a reflection on our times today, who we are, who we want to be, and how we measure up our lives and what we believe we are alive for. So, the series that I'm talking about is a series that I've already mentioned on my January wrap up since I've read the entirety of this series in January, and that is The Horizon by GH. This is a manhwa, so it's Korean, and from what I can understand, it was adapted from a webtoon series, and beautifully so. The only problem with this type of adaptation, I will say, is that sometimes we have wider 2 pages images where there's something in the middle, which works perfectly for webtoon, for web creations, but doesn't work for paper since you have to open the book a little bit more to see what's in the middle. However, I don't think this is a detriment to not actually read this. And I want to start by presenting you a little bit of a summary on what The Horizon is supposed to be. I'm not going to talk a lot about the story of it, since I think going in blind is the best way to go in. It was the way that I went in, and it's the way that I would choose to go again if I could. Then I will talk a little bit about the themes, the art, and I will finish with my recommendation for Horizon, which I already said it was not for everyone. So the Horizon series is constituted by 3 volumes. This is the first volume, where you can see a cover with a child by the sea. Then you have a second volume where you can see 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they're in like this blossomy yellow field. And then we have the third volume, which is completely black, and I do believe that you won't be able to see it, but in the midst of the black there is a lot of humanoid shapes that appear to be people that have probably met a dire fate. So these are the 3 volumes that constitute The Horizon. They are pretty heavy because of all of the quality of the paper and all of the art in it, and there are colored pages. Not a lot, though. So it's mainly black and white, but then there's some splashes of color here and there, and this is how the series is constituted. So let's get into what the story of The Horizon is. So The Horizon is this story, and I want to just start it off by saying trigger warnings, because I'm going to mention some things that might be triggering on the currency of this video. So I'm going to mention them already, and I am going to talk about the first 5 pages of the first volume. So trigger warnings for ethnic cleansings, for disease, for murder of loved ones, for military swipes, and also trigger warnings for graphic violence. If you're going to read this, you have to know that everything is going to be very depict. Also for a feeling of hopeless or sadness, and also trigger warnings for depression, anxiety, and other ways of feeling hopeful, not hopeful about the world. So this is a story about this boy. He's an unnamed boy. We don't know what his name is. We just know he's a boy. And at the very beginning of the first volume, so not a spoiler, we see that there's something going on. He doesn't understand it. He's like 8, maybe, or 10 most. And he doesn't understand what is going on. A lot of people are running away, and his own mother is putting him inside of this little tent thingy, and she's trying to hide him in an alley, and then she runs away. And when all of the buzzing stops, you can see him coming out of hiding, and every single person in that city is dead. But when I say dead, I mean dead, like mutilated, killed viciously by military men. And he finds the corpse of his own mother with a very graphic description of how she died visually. And because he's a child and he does not comprehend what is going on, the beginning of this is he trying to wake up his mother. And when he finds out that he can't wake up his mother, something happened. She's dead in a way, because death has not been something that he knows because he's a child. He just stands up and starts to walk right up ahead. And he does not stop. And one day, while he's still walking, he finds this girl. We don't know from where this girl came from, but she's roughly his age. She's scared as he is, and they're not alone anymore. And so she just asks him, "Where are you going?" And he says, I'm just moving forward. I'm just keeping in movement." And she decides that she's going to go with him. And it's this journey of these two children through moving forward after something very terrible happened to them, and they are left alone in the world with all of this violence that shouldn't be depicted for children. And because you're seeing this in the eyes of children, it's even worse from a perspective of an adult actually reading this novel. Also, I forgot to mention some other trigger warnings like sexual assault and abuse, famine, sadness, everything is horrifying in this manga, everything. So the themes of this story, and throughout the entirety of reading the 3 volumes, and that's why I don't want to spoil this for you, you will understand that the idea of this story is to show you how cruel, how mean, how merciless, how horrible human beings can be to each other, with or without explanation, because there is a part in the story where you kind of understand where they're coming from, but you don't understand where they're coming from, if you know what I mean. And the purpose of this story, or at least is what I feel about it, is to devoid you completely of hope, devoid you completely of any happy feeling that you ever had, is to make you cry, is to make you sob, is to make you feel like everything is hopeless. And I do have a theory that the idea of this, and because it's from the eyes of these children, is to make you feel like you are a refugee, is to make you feel like you are someone that has lost everything, even to the point of not really understanding your own humanity. And then, after the point where you hit the lowest of possible lows, where everything that is terrible and awful has happened to you and to the main character, then slowly it starts with a process of rebuilding you and making you question what it feels like and what it is like to be a human being, and why is that important, and what are you as a human being. So a lot of these thematics reminded me of, for instance, what is happening in Gaza and all of the Palestine-Israel situation, which I have been kept quiet about because it's too much suffering. And when I started reading this, the first thing that came to mind was that. And I think that this is an important piece of literature to actually understand and know what is happening in the world around us. And when we sometimes watch the news and feel like there's nothing, there's no love, there's no comprehension, there are no human rights, there's nothing. This is the point that this series will take you. You will feel like you're in an abyss of nothing, in an abyss of darkness. And to get out of there, if you can, is the entire process of reading this novel and understanding the characters and understanding what the author is trying to achieve. There's not a lot of lines in the entirety of this work. There's a lot of narration, but not very bulky narration. Just like to situate you, place you, making you understand some thoughts that the characters are having, and then you just see everything through the passage of the images. So for this reason, we know that the art style is one of the most important things in The Horizon. The art style of this is one of the best art styles that I've ever seen. I personally love the way that GH has drawn in The Horizon. The way that this person is able to tell a story just by the flick of a page. Every single panel in The Horizon is thought out to be something, is thought out to provoke a reaction from us. There are close-ups, there are widespread pages, there are places, there are people, there are situations that are so well characterized and drawn that is an adventure and ensnares the senses, actually, to be able to read something like this and to watch and visualize this story happening, unfolding through your eyes, through the art style of this, through everything. And it's such a powerful story. However, it always makes it more graphic, more horrifying, more terrible, and it brings you to a place where every single drawing is like an attack. I began the first volume of The Horizon by feeling like wanting to throw up. I then went to the second volume of The Horizon and I cried so much. And in the third volume of The Horizon, I was crying, I was devastated, I was in pain. And then slowly I started to emerge and I started to think about what I wanted for myself. What was the meaning of life for me? And I think that through the art and through the story, the purpose of the author of this is to actually pose an existential question, is to actually reflect about what is a human being, why are we here, should we live, and how should we live to actually be humans, to actually achieve a pinnacle of love, of understanding, of kindness, and if that's even possible. What are the reasonings, or the possible reasonings for someone to be so evil? And what are the reasonings for people to fight, for people to die, or for people not wanting to keep moving forward? And it's such a beautiful treaty of... God, I don't even know how to explain this.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
As I was saying, it's just... it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful work. For recommendations, I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. I wouldn't recommend this to people that are going through a depression. I wouldn't recommend this to people that have actually lived on either religious or war or any sort of type of conflict that they've been into and that they haven't resolved. If there is someone with PTSD from any situations, sort of the ones depicted in this book, or people that really just don't want to lose their faith in humanity, do not read this. This is a very impactful work. This is a work filled with pain, and it's very important that we are with our heads, with our minds, with our hearts in the right place when we are going into this, because we are going to reach top bottom. We are going full into that pit, that abyss, that well where you're not going to come out and everything is dark, and then you're slowly emerging. And for that process to happen, I don't believe that you can do it whilst not being okay with yourself or some experiences that you might have been through. So I don't recommend this if you are in a process of healing from something. I don't think this is the best manga for you. However, if you can deal with the trigger warnings, if you can deal with all of these situations that I've exposed in this video, I think that you should try to give this a read, even if you don't like manga. I don't think this story is a typical manga story, let's just say. I don't think this story is a story that can be made and proposed by someone that hasn't known or heard or be attentive to our fellow human beings. I don't think that this story couldn't exist if human beings weren't as evil as they are, but also as kind as they can be. I think that this is a very important story to get to know who we are, to get to know our lives, to get to know what we want to be from this point forward, to teach us to keep moving forward even when things look as bleak and dark as it can be, to teach us, and maybe when we want to give up, it's the moment where we should be rising. And it's just such a powerful and beautiful series. And if you have the possibility, The Horizon is mostly, and it's going to probably be one of my favorite manga series of 2024. One of the best. The art style of this is astounding. The tale that it tells is beautiful, marvelous. It is painful, but one cannot truly emerge as someone else without a painful change, without a painful wake up call. And The Horizon was my wake up call. And I sincerely hope that all of you guys that shown interest in my January wrap up to actually read The Horizon do so with care for yourselves, with time for yourselves, to approach this in a gentle way, to try and read this and to try and form your own opinion on this. And I sincerely hope that is your wake up call as well for the world as it is and it cannot be, for trying to be kinder each and every single day, for understanding that there are things that are heavier than pain and sorrow and suffering. There are good things in the world as well, even though we tend to make it darker. And so, can we make it lighter? And that's why I love The Horizon, because it is so bleak, but at the same time so full of hope and just such an extraordinary journey. So yeah guys, that's my review on The Horizon. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe, and tell me down below if you've ever read this, if you've read anything else from this author. I do believe there's another series from him called The Boxer. I haven't read it. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick it up or not. We will see, but very hopeful for his works since these were incredible, and I sincerely hope that you can read some of him soon. So that's going to be all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!